Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration, and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to be having this conversation with one of my Business Activation Academy students, Celeste, who is here with me, sharing her gifts, her magic, the beauty of what it's like to really allow that to unfold. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey watching you build your program, which is called Gift Your Gifts, and really become this creative soul purpose coach that is so in your magic and so in tune with what you're creating in the spirit of your business and your offer. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself and just share a little bit about who are you and what you do, and tell us a little bit about your magic.
Thank you, Tiffany. I'm so excited to be here. I've listened to your podcast months on end, and it's just a full circle moment for me to be here. And like I said before we hopped on this interview call, I was telling you how this feels like a celebration for me because she's catching me fresh right out of graduation. I just finished ushering my first ever clients in my coaching container through their graduation ceremony yesterday. So it just feels like Tiffany is like waiting for me at the end of the finish line. Like,
Yes.
and it feels like a celebration. So I'm just allowing that to settle in and soak in. And I hope that like my journey can inspire the listeners today too. So I call myself a creative soul coach and soul purpose coach. And I really resonate with all of those words. I resonated with creative soul. I like to call myself, I've always felt in my heart that I've been artistic and creative. And so I knew that that was going to be part of my coaching container, my dharma. It's always been a part of me. So as you can see, like I have my guitar, I have like all of these creative things in my life that are inspiring me and flowing out of me. And essentially Tiffany helped me through BAA to like express myself more and get out of my head. And so long story short, that's who I am. I feel like at the core of who I am, I'm a creative soul. And as a coach, I just get to work closely and intimately with other creatives who want to just get out of their head, get out of their, their limiting beliefs and really step into who they are as creatives. And just, I feel like everyone is an artist of their own life and creators of their own world. And so that's really all I'm about. And I'm just excited that I have this platform to like celebrate it, because really just being here with you and being part of this platform has allowed me to be like, hey, I have accomplished a lot, like just within the few months that I've been part of BAA. It's been 4 months. So I'm excited to get into all of it. Thank you,
Oh
Tiffany.
my gosh. Amazing. No, thank you. This is so beautiful to just see unfold and take form in so many ways. So, for you, how do you feel like you uncovered your magic? You mentioned that you always felt like a creative soul, and that's something that's been a part of you. Do you feel like you always kind of knew what your magic was from childhood, or do you feel like it was kind of like an awakening? I feel like it's like one extreme or another sometimes. Either like we know it or we're like kind of like what's the word? Like pushing it down or just suppressing it because we weren't fully able to express all of who we are. So then we like step into it and it just like gradually builds. What was your experience?
It was that. It was me suppressing it. Like as a kid, I loved singing. Like I carried this little karaoke machine everywhere I went as a kid. I even dropped it in the toilet because I brought it to the bathroom with me. And like through through reflecting on this and like having the time to sit down and really ask myself, what do I want? Who am I really? I couldn't deny that. I couldn't ignore that I had this gift, this talent of just singing and just music and words and melodies always flowing out of me. Like I always knew it was there. And so in my adulthood, it was kind of me tiptoeing around it. Like, I'm not good enough. I have this post on my Instagram where I'm sharing like I have my idol, Tori Kelly. She's
Mm,
like my this artist idol. She is an
yeah.
amazing singer, songwriter, everything. She's the whole package, and I've idolized her throughout my teenage years. And everybody knew me as this girl who was obsessed with her. And they're like, "You're gonna be the next Tori Kelly," and that actually like allowed me to, or that forced me to kind of go after that path. And along that path, I was like, I'm not ever going to be Tori Kelly. I'm not ever going to be as good as her. And it kind of made me think like I'm not good enough to be a singer. Like I started to inherit that belief from others and feedback from like, oh, I can't master her runs. I can't
Mm,
write songs like her. And throughout my spiritual awakening that I had, I realized like, okay, it just dawned on me like I don't have to be Tori Kelly. I'm here to be my own unique creative soul. And I stopped chasing that dream and it became like an affirming thing where I was like, I am the blueprint. I am the artist and I get to be my own version of that. And that was just so freeing. Like it gave me permission. And I think it was just accumulation of all the things that everything that I was learning from you, from
mm,
books, from reflecting. I was like, one day it clicked. I was like, I don't have to be anybody. I can be inspired by all of these people that I idolize and admire, but at the end of the day, it's becoming my own version of that. And I get to still be inspired by them because I'm of course drawn to that art and their artistry and their that
yeah.
industry. So that's where it all kind of unfolded for me.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I have a similar story. Like I grew up with Harry Potter and, all of the yeah, Harry Potter books, a lot of other like fantasy books, like the Chronicles of Narnia, but and I published two books in high school and I remember thinking like, "Oh, I'm not going to be like JK Rowling, like I'm not going to be like her." And I remember there being like a moment where I'm like, "No, but th- this what I'm creating doesn't need to be like what she's created. It could be exactly what I meant to create, right?" And I think that there's like a pivotal moment when we become entrepreneurs and we look around because that's what we do in the very beginning to help us kind of get started. It helps to look at other people and go, this is what's possible for me. This is what other people have created. And so this is what I can create in my own way. And then I think there becomes a moment where it's like, okay, I'm doing this in the like imprint in the blueprint that only I can do. And when I embrace all of the things that I was maybe taught not to embrace or taught not to love about myself, all the things that we deem as flaws,
Yeah.
once we actually allow ourselves to be like, oh, those are like my favorite parts of myself. That's why the spirit of my business chose me. It's why my magic chose me. That's when we fully like come into all of who we are and spread the magic that we're meant to.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel that in my soul, and that's exactly what it felt like for me. Yeah.
Mm, beautiful. I love that. Yeah. What do you feel like along this journey as you are, you know, exploring more of your magic and then discovering what you love and then discovering, really truly doing it your way and, embracing your own uniqueness? What identities and thoughts do you feel like you had to release in order to become who you are today?
That's so good. And that's where it started, was releasing all of those negative beliefs about myself. And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but like that's what BAA has taught me is like the first call I ever attended. It was around you teaching creating intentional thoughts. And my mind was like, I knew about this, like I knew about rewriting your narrative and all of that, but the way you communicated it to me, like it was like a breakthrough for me. And I have my journal, like writing out my self concepts about who I am as a coach, who my clients are, my aligned clients, like before I even had clients. And it's like all of my self concepts about it. And the
Amazing.
main ones that I kind of rewrote were like, I'm never going to be so and so. I'm not good enough as blank. Like it was always like a comparison thing.
Mm,
And I think when I realized too, like I can still be inspired by them, that like the saying, like God is in the neighborhood, like he's near you. Success is around the corner because he's in the neighborhood. He's ready to bless you. Like when I turned it around to kind of see like, hey, I'm in the right community. I'm inspired by the right people. I'm surrounding myself by amazing people who are accomplishing all of these things. It clicked like, okay, it's not about comparison or competition. It's about community and connection. Like I get to connect
mm,
with people and learn from them and be inspired by them. And so I rewrote a lot of those comparison beliefs around that and who I am as a coach, and kind of flipped the script on that and wrote it all over my walls, my mirrors, so that I
yeah.
could train myself like a muscle to really believe it and embody it. Because you can think it too, but I think when I really believed it, that's when it clicked. And then like a bunch of ideas started flowing after that, because I was able to like unlock that new level. Like it felt like I have new access to the power within. Like it really felt like
Mm.
I unlocked a new level.
Yeah, wow, that's so beautiful. I love that. I think that sometimes we know certain things in our bodies and they've been told to us so many times, and we're meant to kind of hear it from a specific person in a specific timing in our life and kind of just go, "Oh my gosh," like actually hearing it, for the first time, or
Yeah.
it feels like hearing it for the first time, and then actually integrating that into our lives, right? Allowing ourselves to step into a new way of thinking and a new identity of who we get to be. Because I think for so long, who we've become, especially if we're daughters of, especially for women, especially if we're women of color and daughters of immigrants, there's a lot of cultural expectations and expectations of who we should be in our careers and when we should be married and who we should be married to and who we should be and what we should achieve and how much money we should be making and our education journey, right? It is so expected of us that there isn't really even a conversation of what we desire.
Yeah.
It's just this is what you have to do and why haven't you done it? Are the conversations. And
Exactly.
so I think, what I hear from you and very similar to my own journey is you discovering things that light you up in a way that feels good to you. You doing it in the way that feels good to you, right? You being inspired by other people, but coming back to the magic that chose you. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. And I think that anyone in your vicinity and energy and chooses to work with you and chooses to follow you can really feel that very radiant, vibrant energy.
Yeah, I believe it. Yes, thank you. I think
Yeah.
hearing it from you and reflected back at me and knowing that you guided me there, it's like an amazing full circle moment too, that like I was able to, like I had the crown already, right? Like I had the gift there. It was just a matter of accepting it and being like, yes, I know. I'm sorry. I ignored you. Like I'm sorry I let my
Mm,
guitar collect dust. I'm sorry that my journal was tucked away, and all of these things that I felt guilty for and shameful around were actually the things. And I think that was the biggest realization too, because when I was able to step into your container, I was ready to receive that information. And like you said in the beginning too, like when it finally clicks, it's like when you're ready to receive. And I think
mhm.
it so many things led up to me deciding like I'm ready to receive and I'm ready to step into this version. What do I need to learn? And then that really opened up the gates, really opened up the crown, and I was receiving all of the downloads and everything, all the life lessons.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Because I think that there's that art of attracting, but then there's also the art of receiving it, like actually allowing ourselves to believe, like, I'm worthy of this. I can do this. I'm allowing myself to experience this, even though I have this story that's telling me that I'm not enough because of something that happened 5 years ago, or I have this story that's telling me I need to be this good daughter that goes into the medical field or goes into like a different type of business, work for a corporation, right? Work in corporate, etc. All these things that we kind of have that tell us this is the identity that you should be, this like should identity.
Yeah.
And then there is this version of you that's like, no, I'm going to push that away, release any shame around the things that I love to do, and grab my journal and grab my guitar. And this is what makes me happy. And this is what brings me joy. And I think the more we choose to be in our joy and the more we choose to allow ourselves to just be honest about what our heart want, right? I think so often we've become just disconnected from even that. It seems so simple, but we've become so disconnected from it because we've been taught to think about other people or our families or our partner or what we should be doing and the environments that we should be in, right? Versus, is this actually what I want? Is this actually the actual purpose that my soul came here to live out and express? Is that what you're actually living? And I would say, like, if you go down the street and ask someone, like, "Are you living your soul purpose?" Right? Like, a lot of people would just be like, "Well, you're crazy," right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that it should be so much more of a conversation that we have with everybody, right? And really remind people around us that we do not have to play into the narratives of um following what our parents did or what they wanted for us or what's expected of us, and actually allowing ourselves to do what feels good and true and right to our souls, and let that evolve, right? It might not be just this one thing. It rarely ever is. It
Yeah.
starts with this one thing and then it grows and evolves and takes form in something you never could have even imagined. Yeah, and so even for you, Celeste, I'm like, oh, this feels like even like it's just the beginning, right? There's like so many beautiful ways that it's going to evolve and upgrade and grow and take you with it in the best way possible.
Yeah, beautiful. One thing that came to me when you were sharing that, like just going up on the street and asking people, like, do you know what's your sole purpose? We
Yeah.
never say that. We always
Yeah.
introduce ourselves like, hey, I'm so and so and I do this. Like my occupation is this. But I think when you asked me to introduce myself at the beginning of this interview, I had to sit with it and be like, who am I? Like that's a core question. And I think
Mm,
once we really accept what do we want, and that's something I help my clients do too, realizing like what do I want. It's not what my parents want, it's not what my family or society wants for me. It's like really getting serious about what do you want for yourself. And when you don't get clouded with all the distractions, that opens up so many doors. And I think you're right with that's just the beginning, because once you accept and give yourself permission to love the things that you really love, like that opens up a pathway of like everything else that is aligned to you. And I
mm,
think
yes.
you're painting the picture of exactly what happened for me, and walking down that
Yeah.
path as I have no regrets. Like it's
I love
feels
that.
so fulfilling.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I truly believe that what's in alignment for you is in alignment for everyone around you. So
Yeah.
trusting that this might feel strange and different and unfamiliar in the beginning because it's not what we're taught to do. especially, if you're an immigrant, you're a child of immigrants, you're expected to go to college and get a good paying job and to continue climbing that corporate ladder. And when you do something outside of that, like start an online coaching business, or you end up becoming a healer, or a mystic or mentor of some kind, and you're teaching and you're coaching and you're doing things that don't look like the status quo, or don't look like what is expected of you to go to a 9 to 5 and an office job, it can feel very out of place.
Mhm.
But what is really happening is you are allowing yourself to finally come into what you're meant to be doing all along. And that ends up feeling so much more fulfilling in the long run, because it's exactly where your soul feels at home.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to talk about gift your gifts and how you kind of came to creating your offer, your program. Um, do you feel like it came to you? Do you feel like it's something you knew just had to happen? Do you feel like it happened gradually and you kind of built it along the way? I teach my students in BAA to just trust what feels good to them. So everyone has a different answer. I don't have this cookie cutter way of like, this is how you need to build your program. I do have guidelines that can be helpful to think about, right? Like, what do you want the energy of the container to be like? And what kind of fuck yes aligned clients just feel like, oh, yes, in your soul, right? But outside of that, it is what your magic wants to design and create. So tell us about that.
It was a balance and a dance, I like to call it, with
Yeah.
the structure of BAA and also the flowiness. And I think that gave my program shape because I was really able to define and identify what my superpower, what my magic sauce was. But I really do believe that it was there all along. And it was just a matter of allowing myself to step into my gifts. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story. One day how Gift Your Gifts came about, like the idea, because I knew there was an offer brewing, but I just trusted it because it was like a slow process. It was very gradual for me. Even though 4 months feels fast, I literally was like trying to rush it, but I was like, you know what? I gotta let the receiving happen. I have to open up my crown chakra and allow
Mm.
all of that to do the work. And once I sat back, I was literally resting because I took a break from work and I took a break from hopping on coaching calls with you and BAA because I had a loss in my family. And
Mm.
so I was really grieving in at the time as well.
Yeah.
But I knew that, sitting back and receiving and resting and all of that was going to serve me in the long term. So I just sat back, and one day I was watching with my mom just a show. I think it was like Kelly Clarkson. It was like a segment on how she can write a song for you and surprise a loved one. And so really random, but I was just sitting there and not really even thinking about coaching. Like I was really removed from that. I was intentionally resting. And in this little segment, she surprised a wife, she helped this wife surprise her husband with a song, and she gave details, and Kelly Clarkson helped to write all of it and everything to make it,
Mm.
relative to the husband and their love story. And I was just watching it unfold, not really expecting anything of it. And it just came out of my mouth and I was like, wow, Kelly Clarkson just gifted her gift. Like, and it just flew out of my mouth and I was like, like a light bulb went off and I was like, whoa, like I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Like
I'm
she,
getting chills too.
right? Like, oh, that's essentially what I'm doing. And that's essentially what I
Yeah.
want to help people do. And
Mm.
it's just amazing that in that moment of me resting and not even forcing it, trying and
Yep. That's
and
when it happens.
exactly. Like I was like, oh my gosh. So I immediately just like wrote a bunch of things in my journal and I have it here. Literally, I was just like, I'm on a mission. And so I circled 3 things. I made like a little graph and it eventually became the pillars of Gift Your Gifts, which are parts of
Mm.
me that I had to heal. So they're self-compassion element, and then there's a pillar of creativity that's always been there.
Of
And then
course.
dharma and spirituality, because
Oh,
I
I
at the
love that.
time I just finished my training as a dharma coach, and so I knew that that was part of it as well. But that's when it all clicked and came together, and I told myself there's no going back. Like, I have to do what I can to, flush all of this out. And even up until the moment when I launched, like, I had no plan. I was just like, every single moment of me creating it and creating the curriculum and up into the launch, even the first few sessions, I was creating the steps as I was doing it. Like, that's how
Mm,
flowy it was, and that's
yeah.
where you came in too, to help me realize that I can trust that I'm the value. Like, that is
Mm,
another thing that, I is just like amazing to hold on to in my brain. Like, every time I go into a coaching call, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. Like, I've always had that limiting belief of like, I can't articulate what I want them to. And like, I hope that
yeah.
they receive it. Like, that's a huge worry for me up until, this day. But I'm like, when I owned that, I am took ownership of that I'm the value, and my dharma is just expressing through myself. It's such a comforting and reassuring thought. Like, my magic is here, and my words don't even have to land. Like, it's just the energy of being in the container. And I think
Yes.
I feel that in BAA. I feel that when I'm around people like you, coaches like you, and oh, I feel the energy. It's palpable in the air, and I think that's when it all started to click for me. Like, okay, I don't even have to be a master at this. I'm just going to launch this thing because it feels good right now. And I know that people need this. And so it was also that component too of like, it's not all about me too. Like, I have these gifts, but like, I'm in service to humanity, and people, like you say, people need more humanity. And so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
make messy moves right in front of everyone and be myself, take ownership again, just
Mm,
like trust that that's what the exact medicine, what people need. And that's going to
yeah.
attract all the people that need my medicine, even though it's not perfect. But that's that's who
Yeah.
I decide to be as a coach, as a creative soul, just me stepping into what I feel is going to be the best service to humanity and the people that need my gifts. I realize that I'm, for one, depriving myself if I don't step into that, and also
Mm,
depriving the people that are going to benefit from that. And so I hope that
yeah.
I can inspire people with that story of like me just sitting in my corner being so anxious and insecure about who I am and if I'm going to be a good coach, to hey, there's people that need me in my exact medicine, and I don't need to be fully healed, fully mastered this art of coaching yet. I just need to step into it, and I'll figure it out along the way as I take that aligned action. So
Yeah.
it's been a beautiful unfolding. It's been terrifying, but just
Yes.
having guidance like you and trusting that I can, that I can do this, even though it's not going to be perfect, was the the stepping stone to all of it.
Mm, yeah. Oh, I received that. Thank you. And yeah, this is so incredible. And it's never meant to be perfect. It's meant to be this journey that unfolds exactly the way that it's meant to. And we've all experienced that, right? Like not knowing what to coach on, or maybe even how to respond, or even how to articulate what we want coaching on, or how we want to respond, right? And you're right. The energy of the container speaks for itself. There are people who are a part of BAA that don't really show up on the live calls and just go through the lessons, or vice versa. They just show up to the live calls and they pick out the lessons when they need to. There's no right or wrong way to be a part of a container. I believe that when you enroll, that is a transformation in itself. There's so many times that I've invested in something that day, and then all of a sudden someone will pay in full for one of my programs just kind of out of nowhere. It's because our energy speaks for itself. And also when we heal ourselves and when we do that inner work and we're healing our inner child, we're sitting with our nervous system, that kind of sends out pings to our clients as well, right?
Mm,
Like all of a sudden they start having breakthroughs. All of a sudden, someone who was on the fence about working with you for a really long time and was in your DM saying, "Oh, I can't wait to work with you. I can't wait to work with you." They finally pull the trigger, right? There
mhm,
are so many beautiful things that happen energetically that we're never able to put into words because words is just one way to express our soul. There are so many other ways energetically and that are happening all the time that we aren't able to fathom and put into words because it's just so astronomical. It's so cosmic. And that's a part of being a soul-led coach and being a someone who is teaching others to, whether you call yourself a soul purpose coach or not. There's so many of you listening who are doing this work, right? Doesn't matter what you call yourself. It is just what you are stepping into, what you embody and who you are.
mm,
Yeah, so that's so beautiful. I love it.
yes, I wanna bounce off of that because 2 things just dinged in my head when you were saying that. Throughout the program, BAA, I was, like, almost feeling guilty that I wasn't showing up to the live calls when I was, going through a grieving period. Of course, that's what our brain tends to do when you're like, "You're not being productive, you're resting," right? So,
Yeah.
when I was going through BAA and I learned that I can, it's like a do it yourself process, I stopped
Mhm.
shaming myself too. Like it was in actual showing up too in my own way where I found lessons within that as well. Like, hey, I
Mhm.
don't have to do it like other people. I have to do what is calling out to me in the moment and the rest will unfold. Like it's literally like the steps will reveal itself. And I think for anybody who's on the fence about joining BAA too, it's like I didn't know what I needed to hear until I made that jump and the next steps revealed themselves too. And so I learned to create my own rules and just let it all unfold and unravel before me. And I think that in itself was the most magical part too. And so
Mm.
that's what I wanted to share as well, is, like, I was first very shameful too that I was going about it, in ways that I've learned how to show up for school. Like, if I don't show up to
Yeah.
class, like, I'm going to be dinged and missing points, It's like those are the things that I also had to unlearn, but once I released those, I was really able to receive what really mattered and what the truth of showing up looked like for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I have ADHD and I cannot do things on a daily kind of consistent basis. And I've always, my whole life have either shamed myself or have been shamed because I haven't been able to show up in that very like rigid way. It's also one of the reasons why I wanted BAA to be evergreen, right? And if anyone's not familiar with that term, it just means that it's always open, it's always running, there's no start and end time. We're not starting and ending together, which I do programs like that too. That's also beautiful. But BAA as an academy, as a magic business school, right? People can drop in when it feels aligned, go through the lessons, show up for the coaching whenever you need it, and be able to work through it at your own pace, And I think there's so much beauty in building programs that just feel aligned to your magic. I remember when I first launched BAA, it was a cohort styled program because I felt like that's what I should do. I think that the first few iterations of BAA were meant to be that way. But after a while, I allowed myself to again evolve with the spirit of my offer, the spirit of BAA, and allow it to take form in a different way that serves more people and also serves me too as the one kind of hosting and leading this container as well. Yeah, and I love that. And since Business Activation Academy really teaches people to build their coaching businesses from scratch and to create these programs and to market and show up and sell, right? I think that this is such an energetic process that can't necessarily be rushed. It's something that you come into energetically and allow to unfold in a very beautiful, flowy way. I think of BAA as like a really good harmony of the masculine and feminine because like there are those strategies that are like, okay, you can choose this if this feels good, you can choose that. There are those like lessons and modules that are divided into like bite-sized lessons, but then there's also that choose your own adventure feel and vibe to it where it is never, oh, you have to do this or you have to choose that, right? It's like, what is your magic calling you to do? And that's how I guide you as the coach. That's how I guide you as the leader is what feels right to you, not just teaching and copying what I've done, but creating a whole, forging a whole new path. And that's why, like Celeste, I'm sure you see this too. Like, I look at all the students in BAA and they've all done things so differently and they've all created such different programs and
Yeah.
they're all so in tune with what they've created because it's truly theirs.
Yes, it's so beautiful that we all get to follow what what's aligned for us, and we
Yeah.
still get all of the same breakthroughs, and we still feel the energy in the room, the same energy that you are giving us, but we all walk away with what
Mm,
we need, and it's a beautiful unfolding process for every single one of us. So
yeah.
I'm so grateful to be part of
Oh,
it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so yeah, last two questions. Um, I feel like every time you show up and share on your stories, you're so like in love with your clients and what you're doing and these clients have found you in such beautiful ways and you're so excited to guide them and work with them. How do you feel like you've tapped into this energy to attract your fuck yes clients?
Hmm. Mm, yeah, I it's tough because you don't really see what goes behind the scenes, what's going on, what the thought process is for them. But all I can do and what I've decided for me, the best aligned action is to show up, and I've always had this, caring kapha grounding energy about me that
Mm,
most clients when they sign in with me, they compliment me on that. And I think
yeah.
just stepping into just the truth and the raw energy that I have on social media and trying to or not stop trying to be like other people, other coaches that are successful in their
Mhm.
arena. I think that's what you've taught me as well is that when you just show up in your humanness, like your people will come. And
So
it's
good.
I can attest to that. Literally, the right people will come into your room when they feel ready to receive and resonating with your message. And I think
Mm,
when I honed in on what my message was and what type of energy, like I don't think about like, hey, I'm going to be caring today on, IG stories. It's just like whatever comes out. And I think I get to be so vulnerable and raw because I've first released myself from those thoughts of like, oh, I have to show up a certain way. And so I think that's how the attraction happens. I don't get to see how it all unfolds, but I feel like if I'm confident and proud and I stand proud in who I am, the right people will come. And so that's I've the only place I've been showing up is Instagram. And I've been able to attract my people by word of mouth too, but just by being myself on IG stories, on feed, and on live, just pushing myself every day to show up and share my message. Because one thing that I also told myself that was stopping me from showing up on socials was, oh, they already know this, or oh, they've heard it already before. And this other person articulated it already, and like this is common knowledge but at this point. But like I think, like you say too, in one of the podcasts, you were mentioning how we are so surrounded by like coaches, like our feeds, coaches are friends of coaches, and so our socials are surrounded by people who are already talking about these things. But the people that we need to help, and the people that I needed to help, this wasn't something that they heard before. They were having so many breakthroughs because I was just sharing what I was going through in my journey, and
Mm.
what helped me, have these amazing breakthroughs, my thought processes, my limiting beliefs, how I've overcome them. And then they were able to get out of those negative cycles that we're not able to see because we're not able to have a pulse on that. But I think when you show people what's possible and you just keep sharing your message, the people that need to hear it are going to really receive it and resonate with it. And that's how I feel like I've attracted the most aligned clients for me, because I get to sit proud in my message, and it's beautiful. Like I don't have to try. It feels so flowy and easy at that point.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I love that. And what I really want to point out to everyone listening here too, because I think a lot of us have these thoughts of like, well, why aren't people buying? And what if my people aren't on Instagram? And oh, people are liking my stuff, but they're not signing up with me, right? I want you to look at the energy in which Celeste is showing up right now and the curiosity that happens when maybe she doesn't have a result that she wants, and just coming at it from a different place, and also looking at the work that leads up to actually showing up, all the thoughts work and all of the inner work, and creating thoughts that she wants to have about herself and her audience and her program and her clients and all of these things, right? We decide first. We set the energy and the precedent first. And then we attract the people who are a match to that, right? And when we're constantly in this energy of like, why aren't people coming? Where are they? What am I doing wrong? We aren't really necessarily in that space of like, how can I get curious about this? How can I look at my thoughts? How can I reframe this? How can I share in a way that maybe people aren't seeing this on my feed, right? Maybe they don't know all of this already, and coming at it from a different angle. So I really want to point that out because I think it's really easy to get into this kind of deflated energy of like, oh, it's so saturated and all of these things about social media. And I want you all to know that there is a way to show up that feels good and allows you to connect with your people, and doesn't have to be gimmicky or getting into like psychology of what they're thinking. It's just showing up as a human, right? It's
Yeah.
just showing up and being human and loving on them and serving them in a way that you feel like you're meant to, and that you just allow yourself to show up as you, and they receive you as you, and you see them for who they are, and you two meet in that perfect divine place and that perfect divine timing, and that gets to be so beautiful. I think that old paradigm thinking of business building is like, we have to like use this psychology and that tactic and this manipulation and that strategy and all these things to get people to buy and get people inside. And the new paradigm, the soul led paradigm, is no, I'm open and I am attracting. I am not chasing. I am not going after. I am open. My arms are wide open, and you are sovereign. You know when it's the right time to invest. You know when it's the right time to enroll, and you will. And I trust you. And I'm going to be here to guide you when you make that sacred yes. And until then, I will serve you through my free content and showing up and being in my magic. And my magic energetically, the spirit of my business energetically pulls people to me all the time, because my people, our people, your people are here now. They are not somewhere floating around. It's not too saturated. They're not out there somewhere. They're not even on the way. They're here right now. They're ready right now. And when you believe in that and you tap into that, magic happens.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes. There's room for all of us, y'all.
There
Young
is.
people are out there. We're here. They're here.
100%. Yeah. Okay, so last question before I ask where we can find you and connect with you. Um, if there's any like a big anything that you haven't shared, I guess, about being a part of BAA, or if someone's listening and they're on the fence, they're like, oh, it sounds really good, but I'm not really sure. What are some things that you want to share about your experience or something that you would share with somebody who wants to be part of this beautiful container with us?
Mm. Yeah, I want to sit with the energy that I had before, like moments before I joined BAA. I I remember taking on one of I think it was the 3-day tournament that you
Yeah.
shared. And I was getting so many breakthroughs just from your free content. And I was just going with it. And I remember journaling, having so many breakthroughs, really articulating and identifying all of these sparks. I was getting chills just like writing down, all of the um, aligned client ideas and like who they are, just like picturing who they were as people, as souls. And in this tournament, I just realized like I couldn't deny it. I was like, I have to take the next step because that's what's calling out to me. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know when I'm going to roll out my launch. Like I was worried, but at the same time, I was like, I know that this is the right next step. And I think when you stop denying that you know what's for you and you know that it's going to benefit you, it's going to expand you, that's the moment where you trust your gut, you trust the fear, because sometimes terrifying things and the things that you fear are actually the compass. And so that's something that I teach my clients too, is like when it feels scary, maybe that's the sign that you're
Mm.
about to do something big. You're about to make so much change. You're going to transform, because that's the signs that come before you have all of these breakthroughs in it. So in hindsight, I can see why there was some anxiety, some fear around that, but it was the most transform transformative step that I could have took. Being on the fence, not knowing
Yeah.
when am I ready? Am I going to be ready? I just trusted that I knew that that was going to be the next step. And I think you have to be honest with yourself on what it is, because maybe you know that you're meant to do that, but you're not ready. So you have to really sit with it and know that the universe will fold into the next decision you make. You're never going to make the wrong move. You just have to take some action. So whether it's applying to, work with a coach, applying to, grad school, or just opening yourself up to receive from your own intuition. I think once you get in touch with what your intuition saying, what your heart is saying, there's you can't deny it at that point, because you'll feel it in your bones. And so that's what that experience was for me, taking that next scary step into BAA, and I have literally no regrets at all.
I love it. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I echo everything that you said. I think that a lot of the times we wait for this kind of like right timing or perfect timing or when things settle down, and everyone is going to make the decision that feels most right to them. But also, it's just a matter of making time in our schedule too, right? Life's always going to happen, things are always going to pop up. That's not ever something we can control. And it's just a matter of being committed and devoted to the way that you want to show up. That doesn't need to be consistency. That doesn't need to be showing up to every live call. It means finding a rhythm that feels really good to you, and you being, like you said, honest with yourself, right? Tapping into your intuition and listening and trusting that voice, even if it feels scary, even if you're a little shaky making that decision, knowing that, okay, in my heart, in my soul, this is where I'm being led to, and really allowing yourself to admit that and be able to take that leap, because I believe when we move, the universe moves. And when we take those leaps, the universe catches us and it allows us to be set on a different trajectory that creates results that would have been way different than if you stayed in a very kind of familiar comfort zone type energy when that there's so much more that you're meant to be doing. And trust me, like if this message is for you, you'll feel it. You'll resonate with it. Okay, beautiful. Well, Celeste, thank you so much for
Mm,
being on the podcast today. You are just such a ray of sunshine. I just have loved being able to watch you expand and grow in these past few months and to get to know you better. And just thank you for sharing your story and your experience here. Can you tell the listeners where to connect with you, where to find you if they want to seek out learning more about Gift Your Gift or follow your content and your story? What can they do?
yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at the Good Soul Days. I am on Instagram just showing up every day, being myself, and I am in the process of refining what the next iteration of Gift Your Gifts looks like. So that's where I am at currently, but if you want to tune into my energy, you can find me there.
Beautiful. And I will have Celeste's links in the show notes so you can just scroll down, check out her information, check her out on Instagram, see how she continues to evolve. And if you're feeling called to joining Business Activation Academy, the link will be there to read more and apply as well. If you feel called to building a soul led, flowy business that also has divine structure for you to flow into and ease into effortlessly through, and you feel like you are being called into turning your magic into a sustainable business where you can reach the people you're meant to, become the person that you're meant to, and really expand in that way, I invite you to join us inside Business Activation Academy to start your online coaching business as a mentor, healer, mystic, psychic, whatever beautiful brand of magical soul that you are, building your first offer and working with your first paid clients in a way that feels good to you and your energy. I cannot wait to see you in there. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And I will see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.